Hi there, I'm Marius, and today we are going to explore client-side validation with Power Pages. And we're going to do so with Webfiles, which will externalize our JavaScript to a separate file and not bake it to the HTML, which result in a better debugging experience, and we will be able to replace the file from our local computer with Fiddler. As always, we are at make.powerpages.microsoft.com. I'm editing my page here. I have made a page express interest, and this has a lead form on it. And on this lead form, I'm requiring a date of birth, and people entering the form should be at least 18 years old. For minors, there are special legal requirements, and often companies don't want to deal with this because they are not making any business with minors, and therefore they don't want to allow any data of minors in their systems. What I need is a validation on this date of birth. And what I have done for this is, of course, I've implemented this here in the JavaScript part of the express interest page. This JavaScript is a little more difficult than the one we saw the last time when we looked at writing some JavaScript. And this is a page validator. So this is what was called page validators. Now Microsoft calls it Power Pages client-side validation. This is via the page validators object, and basically you are creating an element, and this element has an evaluation function, and then you push this to the page validators object. And the validation function here takes the minimum age and then calculates from today's date this minimum age back and then compares the two dates. So two things: I deliberately made an error in this code that you will see soon to make it not work, and that we have to debug to showcase why we would use Webfiles. And I also wanted to show a disadvantage of Webfiles. So this is why I have here at the top this liquid tag for settings, and liquid tags do not work for Webfiles. Of course, this setting here, so basically I've said, okay, you have a setting where you can enter what the minimum age is. You wouldn't make this specific thing as a setting because, okay, the minimum age will almost always be 18 years. Sometimes you will have such requirements, and I wanted to show that you can pass this into the web file, but you cannot do this in the web file itself. Let's take a look at this. I will preview the page. So we will already take a look with F12 at this. So when I just blindly try to set this up, I have a lot of errors, of course, for the required fields, and there's only adults are allowed to enter. And this is the error. And if we scroll to the right, here only adults are allowed to enter, and there's some enclosing link, this link, so you can grab this sample code here from the Microsoft Docs. If you search for Power Pages client-side validation, this code makes it so that I can click on it and you will get directed to the correct field. So I've reloaded the page here just because if you open F12 after the page is loaded, the actual document is not displayed correctly. And now, yeah, there's a lot of code in here. I will just need to find the correct JavaScript. Give me a second. There's our JavaScript. And I thought I'd set some breakpoint here, and we try to debug it from here. So if I click submit again, I should get into this function. There I can, for example, see that the minimum age is 18 for my debugging, which, by the way, let's take a look at this. So this is the code with the liquid tag. The liquid tag, of course, was resolved to the settings value, so 18. So, and if I start to step through now, you will see a little odd behavior. You see that? What happened there? I should have been here in line 665 and then 666 to do a comparison. Somewhat here is off. Gets worse the more code you write, and is if you have a script tag within an HTML, the browser tools do not really work well with this. So let me play this. Oh, well, let's remove the breakpoint and play. And let's go for a better solution here. And the better solution will be we have a separate JavaScript where we have the JavaScript file, and that is not part of the HTML. And to create this, I've come to the Power Pages Management app. By the way, here in the ellipsis, you can click this Power Pages Management option. This will take you to this app. And this app has the web files, and I will create a new web file. So, and the name of it will be expressinterest.js. That will also be its partial URL. The website is demo, and the parent is the express interest page. I need to set a publishing state, which is published, of course, and then I'll save. So we will be editing the web file here in the section web files. But you cannot simply, for example, do a right-click new file here. Because these are not, looks like a folder structure, but in reality, these are from the web files table. So if I just make new here, okay, it's a file, but there's no record in CRM. So as soon as I refresh, the file will be gone. If I reload now, so we can see the expressinterest.js here, and now let's try to move our code. I will not move the entirety of the code because, as said, liquid tags do not work. So I'll take those two functions down here, move them to the expressinterest.js, and save. So right now, if I were to reload the page and take a look, well, this function right here would not be existent. It would fail because nowhere we have said that we need the expressinterest.js file. That is done here. So I've added a script tag. The source will be the parent page URL, and then the expressinterest.js. Let's say this one. Override this one. Now we will sync and preview. So let's take a look in our sources tab here. First, we see the script is much shorter now. It only has the @birthday validator 18 code in here, and the expressinterest.js has the actual code. I will set again a breakpoint here, and already you see this looks different, right? I have subline breakpoints here. So let's try this one. Submit. Okay, I'm at new date. I will move. I will move. I will move. So I have a complete debugging picture now here, and the error I made here is, okay, when I selected the new date of birth field, I selected the DOM element and not its value. The .val is missing here. Let's add this. So our next attempt, now with the .val down here. So it's still an invalid date right now. So it's correct that only adults can enter. Let me try to add a value and submit. This time the date of birth is Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. That looks good. And if we take a look at this, I mean, I can execute it in the console. So it's false. So that should still be false. And yes, only adults are allowed to enter, but the birthdays required is gone. So let me try to make him a little bit older. In 2004 he was born, would make him roughly 20 years old, and that in the submit makes this validation error vanish. So if we put in the rest of the fields now and submit, we should be able to submit, and it's processing. We have created a lead now with a birthday older than 18. Everything you do in the browser with JavaScript, someone can attack. So they can replace files, for example, to submit something where the date of birth is not fulfilling the requirements of being older than 18 years. And if you have legal requirements on this, you need to either check it on the server again, because it cannot be manipulated by an attacker, or you have your employees have a look at this as well. For example, for this date of birth, if they would double check that this is okay, they could, for example, delete data that is not fitting the requirements and report this. I said an attacker can replace this. We can also replace a file for development. Think about, you have a more, let's say, professional, more complex workflow of creating those files, maybe with bundling, or you are using TypeScript and you need to compile the files. Don't always want to find the compiled JS file, copy its value and paste it here. That's very cumbersome for each test. And we can do this with Fiddler. So with Fiddler, I have set a filter that's in the filters tab here to only show the following host. That's my Power Apps portal, because when you have a normal computer running, there are a lot of connections being opened. So Fiddler just logs with whom you are communicating. So we'll start capturing here. Then I will reload my Power Apps portal page. And then let's take a look at Fiddler. So here we see the requests being made. The main page was delivered here with express interests, and we also see our JavaScript. With the inspector, for example, we can decode in text view the JavaScript we downloaded, and in autoresponders, I've already created a rule which says, okay, if the URL is ending with express interest.js, replace it with a file from my downloads folder. Let's enable this rule so that the autoresponder replaces this file when it's downloaded from the internet. It will instead give back this file, and this file looks pretty simple. It just says alert hello, because we can quickly identify that this worked. So let me reload the page. By the way, Fiddler only works because it's hooking into the internet connection if the file is actually downloaded from the internet. If it's from cache, Fiddler can't do anything about it. So I have disabled the cache here in the network tab, and that means if I reload now, the JS file will be downloaded, and here you see alert hello. Let's double check that in the sources. The express interest now just says alert hello. Those are the two main benefits I see with Webfiles. A, better debugging, and B, you can replace them for quicker development.